After Ethan Moore's military reassignment order came down, I, his wife, was the last to know. Mrs. Carter from next door held my hand gently and said, "In just a few days, you'll be leaving with the army. Your tough days are finally behind you. Once you're settled, don't forget to come back and visit me, okay? Don't forget about me." I didn't respond. Ethan came back this time saying he was on family leave for a month. He had kept the reassignment completely from me. If Mrs. Carter hadn't accidentally told me first, he wouldn't have said a word. In my previous life, right after hearing it from her, I confronted Ethan. Left with no other option, he finally admitted the truth. Rachel and her son are having a really hard time. She needs a stable job to raise her child. I plan to take them with me first, then come back for you. I was furious. Why? I'm your wife. Why would you take Rachel and her kid first? What does that make me, and how do you plan to explain your relationship with her to everyone else? Ethan was completely speechless under my questioning. Embarrassed and angry, he snapped, "This is just helping someone in need. Isn't that a good thing? As a military wife, shouldn't you support my decisions?" But why should I? When I married him, he had absolutely nothing. Just 2 crumbling straw huts, a sick mother named Gloria Moore, and a house so empty it echoed. No one in the village wanted to marry him. They all looked down on his poverty, and especially his mother, Gloria, who was known for being vicious, foul-mouthed, and lazy. A total burden. But I married him anyway, despite everything. Ethan never sent a single penny back from the army. I toiled day and night in the fields, sweating under the sun just to earn work credits and keep our household going. Gradually, our life started to improve. He got promoted, and suddenly, he had more people to care for. Out of nowhere, he brought home Rachel and her son, saying she was a distant cousin whose husband had passed away, leaving her with no one. Back then, I was so naive. I thought Ethan was just doing a good deed. I believed he was a kind man. But even after his promotion, he never once sent money home for me. Meanwhile, Rachel and her son dressed better, ate better, and lived better than anyone else in the village. People began whispering that Ethan was giving all his salary to her and her boy. Only then did I realize the truth. So when, in that past life, Ethan said he was taking Rachel and her son with him on reassignment, I refused. We got into a huge argument. He stormed off in anger. The next evening, his mother, Gloria, suddenly accidentally injured her leg and couldn't get out of bed. Ethan came back to me, sincerely asking, "Lisa, Mom's hurt her leg and needs someone by her side. Please, just stay home and take care of her for now. Once her leg gets better, I'll come back for you." I had no choice. I stayed behind to care for Gloria while Ethan left with Rachel and her son, carrying bags of their things. To help Gloria heal faster, I gave her all the best food we had in the house. Supplies were tight back then. Every day, I worked myself to the bone, fishing in the river, hunting wild chickens and rabbits in the mountains, just to make sure she had nutritious meals. Gloria couldn't even sit up, so I handled everything, cleaning her waist, washing her body, making sure she didn't get bed sores. I boiled water every day to wipe her down and changed her sheets constantly. I treated Gloria better than I treated my own mother. But what did she do in return? Ethan had been gone with Rachel for a while, and Gloria's leg still showed no sign of improvement. She was still stuck in bed, though that didn't stop her from eating and drinking everything I gave her. I was desperate and sought out a well-known folk doctor for help. That very night, disaster struck. The same Gloria who had been bedridden for weeks suddenly led a group of people into my room, where they caught me in bed with Mr. Lee, an old bachelor from the village. That incident destroyed me. My name was ruined. I was insulted, spat on, and shunned by everyone in the village. Gloria, who miraculously could now walk just fine, cursed me every day and hit me whenever she got the chance. She screamed at me to get out, yelling that their house had no place for a filthy slut like me. I tried to explain. I cried and pleaded for someone to believe me, but no one did. I felt so wronged, so powerless, but I still had hope. I thought, I've worked so hard for this family all these years. Ethan knows what kind of person I am. Mr. Lee was 30 years older than me, disgusting, wrinkled, and repulsive. I'd have to be blind to have anything to do with someone like that. I truly believed that Ethan would stand by me, that he'd know the truth, that he'd care enough to give me an explanation. With only one thought in mind, I took the night bus straight to the military base to find Ethan Moore. On the way there, I thought about a lot of things. Everything, except the possibility that Ethan might betray me. But when I saw him accompanying a heavily pregnant Rachel to a prenatal checkup, and when I found out her baby was already 5 months along, it felt like the sky collapsed around me. I was beyond furious. I caused a scene, cried out for justice, and demanded an explanation from the military authorities. In response, Ethan calmly pulled out a marriage certificate, his and Rachel's. They were the legally married couple, not me. I had worked myself to the bone in Ethan's household for 6 years, doing everything like a servant, but in the eyes of the law, I was nothing. Just an outsider with no official relationship to him. The truth was brutally cruel. I didn't want to accept it, but I had no choice. With no one to turn to, not a penny to my name, and nowhere to go, I wandered the streets in despair. Exhausted and dazed, I was hit by a passing car. I never woke up again. When I opened my eyes in this new life, everything was still hazy. And then Mrs. Carter from next door spoke to me, saying exactly the same words she had in the last life. I didn't know what to say. I just looked around greedily, drinking in every detail around me. I was back. Thank God, I had come back. I pushed open the courtyard gate and saw Ethan lifting Rachel's child into the air. The little boy laughed happily as Ethan tossed him up with his strong arms and caught him again and again. Rachel stood to the side, watching them with a gentle smile. When she noticed beads of sweat on Ethan's forehead, she quickly picked up a handkerchief to wipe it off. The two of them locked eyes, full of affection, their smiles bright and intimate. That day marked 6 years since I married Ethan, and yet he had always looked at me with a cold, distant expression. I had never once seen him smile so gently, so tenderly. I didn't even know he could look like that. When they heard the gate creak open, both of them turned to look at me. Rachel didn't even pause as she wiped Ethan's forehead, as if I were just some irrelevant stranger intruding on their little bubble of love. Ethan stopped tossing the boy. The child glanced at me awkwardly, sensing something off. But when the game came to a sudden halt, he whined, "Daddy, toss me again, I still want to play." In my last life, Rachel's son had also called Ethan Daddy all the time. Ethan's excuse back then was that the boy had lost his real father and didn't understand what dad meant. He just called it out randomly. How stupid I was to believe such a flimsy excuse. I let out a cold laugh. At the sound of my laughter, panic flickered across Ethan's face. He quickly put the child down and turned to explain. "Lisa, he doesn't understand what dad means. He's just saying it for fun. Don't take it seriously." I ignored Ethan completely. I just stared coldly at Rachel, who was still holding the handkerchief. "The kid doesn't know any better," I said icily. "But what about his mother? She doesn't know any better either?" Rachel was visibly flustered by my question. She didn't have the nerve to respond. She just looked at Ethan with teary eyes, full of pitiful innocence. "Lisa, you're upset. I'm sorry. This is all my fault," I scoffed. "What are you apologizing for? You didn't do anything wrong, right? And besides, what kind of adult takes a child's words seriously? Especially someone else's." Ethan had defended Rachel before, many times. I used to play dumb and put up with it like a coward, but not this time. I glared at him and asked coldly, "If someone else's kid started calling me Mom, would you think that's perfectly normal too?" Ethan was stunned into silence, unable to respond. Just then, Gloria Moore burst out from inside the house to break the tension. She scowled at me. "Weren't you going to buy meat? Why'd you come back empty-handed?" I replied blandly, "Didn't have money to buy any." In my previous life, when Ethan came back, I had bent over backward for him, spent all our savings to buy meat and make him delicious meals. I didn't want him to feel the slightest discomfort. I was utterly, hopelessly foolish. There were 5 people in that house, but I was the only one with a gaunt face and malnutrition. If Ethan had even a shred of affection for me, he would never have just stood by and watched me look like that, like something less than human. In that life, I deserved to be used by all of them. But this life? I won't let that happen again. I won't let this heartless, shameless family take advantage of me, not even a little. When I said I had no money, Gloria Moore looked even more upset. "I saw you leave the house with money. Where is it?" "It got stolen," I replied flatly. You're unbelievable, she snapped. Why would a thief pick you of all people? Why not someone else? You're just that easy to bully, huh? Yeah, I guess I really do have the kind of face that screams easy target. That's probably why I've been stepped on and used like a doormat all this time. My words caught Gloria off guard. In the past, every time she mocked me, I would just smile and never talk back. That gave her the confidence to keep pushing, keep humiliating me. She got addicted to bullying me. But this time, when I pushed back, Gloria was stunned for a moment, then grew red with rage. She stood with her hands on her hips and glared at me. Useless thing. Why are you just standing there? Go cook dinner. You trying to starve everyone to death? I stared back at her coldly. Nobody else in this house has hands? I'm not your maid. If I don't cook, then no one eats. Starve, for all I care. Her eyes widened. You've really lost your mind. She immediately turned to Ethan. Ethan, look at Lisa. This is how she treats me, right in front of your face. Can you imagine what I've had to endure when you're not around? Rachel, ever the opportunist, quickly stepped in to support Gloria. She helped her sit down, gently wiping away her fake tears. Don't be upset, Aunt Gloria. I'll make dinner. It's okay. Look how considerate Rachel is, Gloria said, glaring at me. She's a guest, and yet she knows how to help, unlike some people. I laughed coldly. I've never heard of a guest who stays in someone's house for a year and a half. That's not a guest, that's an altar you build and bow to. My words were cutting, and I didn't hold anything back. The whole courtyard fell silent. Ethan looked at me with burning eyes. Lisa, what is that supposed to mean? Don't you think you've gone too far? Apologize now. Apologize? I scoffed. Keep dreaming. I ignored him and walked straight past them into my room, slamming the door behind me to shut out the noise. I had no time to waste on these snakes. I had more important things to do. Ethan had brought back some money this time. In my last life, I was stupid. I kept thinking how hard his life must be out there and never touched a cent he brought home. I didn't want him to struggle. But now that I know what kind of man Ethan really is, no way am I going to be that foolish again. I opened Ethan's luggage and took out all the cash he had packed inside. I stuffed it into my own pocket. Then I gathered the several pairs of hand-stitched 1,000-layer soles I had painstakingly made for him during sleepless nights and packed them up. With that, I hurried out the door. The courtyard was empty. Ethan, Rachel, and the others were nowhere to be seen, though I could still hear quiet voices from the living room, soft words of comfort. I let out a cold laugh and headed straight to Mrs. Carter's house next door. Sis, here, I said, handing her the shoes. These are for your husband. Let him wear them. She looked surprised. Wait, aren't these the ones you made for Ethan? What happened? Sis, I suspect Ethan's been sneaking around with Rachel behind my back. No way I'm letting something I made with my own hands go to waste on him. Mrs. Carter sighed deeply. Ever since that Rachel showed up, people in the village have been talking. Rumors have spread like wildfire. I honestly thought you were just turning a blind eye and planning to tolerate it for life, but it's not too late to wake up. So what do you plan to do now? She asked. I'll take it one step at a time, I said. But I'm not going to make things easy for that heartless bunch anymore. Sis, I need a favor. I stayed and had dinner at Mrs. Carter's house before heading home. When I got back, Ethan was in our room with a dark cloud hanging over his face, clearly waiting for me. As soon as I walked in, he pounced. What the hell is wrong with you today? Did you lose your mind? How could you say those things about Rachel and her son? What exactly did I say that was wrong? I shot back. They've been living off us for over a year, eating for free, doing nothing. Not even one damn meal cooked. Am I just your free maid now? Your family's personal servant? My tone was ice cold and sharp. I didn't soften a single word. Ethan was stunned. He stared at me, confused and thrown off, as if seeing me for the first time. After a moment, he finally calmed himself and said, I have something I need to talk to you about. I have something to say too, I replied immediately. I'll go first, I said. I used all the money you brought home to pay off our debts. It still wasn't enough. Think of a way to scrape together a few $100 more so I can finish paying it off. What? You used all that money on debt? How could you owe that much? Ethan stared at me, stunned. You should be asking yourself that, I shot back. Weren't you the one so determined to take care of Rachel and her son? They can't handle the slightest hardship. Every day they need good food. The kid always wants snacks. Rachel needs new clothes for every season. And your mom? She demands meat and delicacies every other day too. I'm the only one supporting this entire household. I can't possibly earn enough for all that. Of course I had to borrow. And let's be honest, I added, you've been gone for years and haven't sent me a single cent. You must have saved up quite a bit by now, right? Ethan had no response. In my past life, I never gave him any trouble, so he took it all for granted. Now that he knew how much debt we were in, his face turned grim. Can't you just spend a little less? He finally muttered. Don't say that to me, I said. Say it to your mom and to Rachel and her precious boy. I've been wearing the same clothes for 6 years. Look at me. I glanced down at my patched, faded shirt. They're falling apart. Ethan fell silent again. After a long pause, he finally said, I'll figure out a way to cover the money. Also, I got promoted. Oh, I replied, completely uninterested. He clearly expected me to be happy. When I gave him nothing but indifference, he forced himself to continue. The unit gave me a family relocation slot. Start packing. You'll come with me in a few days. That caught me completely off guard. In my last life, that offer had never come. From beginning to end, Ethan had made it very clear. He only wanted Rachel to follow him on the relocation. Why the change this time? I didn't believe for a second that Ethan had changed, so I kept my guard up and played along. The next evening, I overheard a conversation between Ethan and Gloria. She's completely different now, Ethan said. I don't know what happened, but I have no choice. I told her she could come with me just to keep her calm. Gloria's voice was filled with anxiety. You're seriously planning to bring that barren hen with you? What about Rachel and the boy? It's just a temporary solution, Ethan reassured her. I'll bring Rachel on the relocation. That's already decided. She's carrying my child. I can't leave them behind to suffer. You're right, Gloria agreed quickly. Take Rachel with you. Leave the house to me. I'll find a way to make Lisa stay behind. And what's your big plan? Ethan asked. Fake an injury, Gloria said. Tomorrow I'll pretend I fell and hurt my leg. I know someone at the hospital who can help us cover it up. If Lisa's obedient, she'll stay and take care of me. Once Rachel gives birth, we'll come clean. But if she gets difficult, then don't blame me. Mom, what are you going to do? Gloria laughed. Come on, you know me. I'll make sure Lisa's out of the picture for good. Clean and final. No loose ends. You and Rachel can be together without any worries. She pulled a small pouch from under her pillow and proudly showed it to Ethan. Got this from an herbalist I know. He says just a pinch of this sedative can knock out a full-grown tiger for a day. What a vicious old woman. So that's how it had been in my last life. She was the one behind the setup with Mr. Lee. It had been her plan all along. Well, if they had no conscience, then they shouldn't expect mercy from me. Over the next 2 days, I silently observed everything. Gloria, Ethan, and Rachel carefully planning where she'd fake her fall, quietly coordinating the details. I pretended not to notice a thing, kept my head down, and stayed busy packing like I believed I'd actually be joining Ethan on the relocation. There was a lot to sort through. It took days to organize everything. That night, I was still folding clothes when Ethan walked in. He looked at me, eyes flickering. Is everything packed? Did you get it all? Pretty much, I said. So, when do we leave? Right as I asked, there was a loud thud outside, followed by Gloria's pain-dramatic scream. Ethan immediately ran out. I followed behind him slowly, deliberately. Gloria Moore was lying on the ground in the courtyard, wailing like a slaughtered pig. Ethan and Rachel rushed ahead of me to her side to help her up. Mom, what happened? Ethan cried out, trying to sound emotional. Rachel chimed in immediately. Aunt Gloria, are you okay? Where does it hurt? I'll go to the hospital with you and Ethan. Gloria kept howling in pain, unable to get out a single full sentence, just moaning and yelling. Ethan and Rachel both thought she was putting on a great performance. Ethan turned back to me and barked, Lisa, why are you just standing there? Come help us get my mom to the hospital. I stepped forward and suddenly screamed, blood! There's so much blood. Both Ethan and Rachel turned their heads to where I was pointing. A steady stream of bright red blood was pooling beneath Gloria's body. The sight of it made them both jump back in shock. Only then did they realize how serious it was. The blood was spreading fast, soaking into the ground beneath her. Gloria was rushed to the hospital without delay. The village was several miles from the town hospital, and we didn't have anything like a car. She was hauled there on a wooden handcart, screaming all the way until her voice went hoarse. When the doctors examined her, they discovered her backside was riddled with glass shards, hundreds of tiny slivers lodged deep in her flesh. It took the doctors 3 hours to clean out the wounds and finish the procedure. With something like that happening, my spot to follow Ethan on the military relocation was, of course, out the window. Gloria lay unconscious in a hospital bed. Ethan wasted no time coming to me to lay everything out. "Lisa, my mom fractured her leg," he said. "The doctor said recovery will take a long time, at least 3 months. She needs someone around. There's no way we can leave the house unattended." I jumped in smoothly. "I understand. I'll stay behind and take care of her." "Lisa, you're amazing," he said, clearly relieved. "Then I'll leave Mom in your hands." "Of course, it's my duty," I replied gently. "Though, if I'm going to be caring for a bedridden elderly woman, I won't have the energy to take on other work." "I'll send my salary home to you," Ethan quickly promised. "I'm not interested in empty promises," I told him calmly. "You should go borrow some money and leave it here with me now, so I can take care of your mom properly. And don't forget about the debt. It's been hanging for a long time. We can't keep delaying it." Seeing that I'd agreed to stay behind and take care of Gloria, Ethan agreed readily. "Don't worry, I'll handle everything. I'll go find someone to borrow money from right now." And to his credit, he did. In less than a day, he borrowed 1,000 yuan and handed it to me. When he gave me the money, he put on a troubled face and said, "Lisa, this relocation slot has a deadline. If I don't use it, it'll go to waste. I was thinking, Rachel's having a hard time with the baby. Why don't I take her and the child this time? Once she finds a job, she won't rely on us anymore." "No problem," I replied with a big smile. "Won't be any trouble for me for a few days anyway." Ethan left with Rachel, giving me the space I needed to move. He was so touched by my understanding that he even leaned in to hug me. I stepped aside. "You should go tell Rachel to start packing." Ethan, delighted, left right away. He didn't even look back at his injured, shredded mother lying in bed. By the third morning, just like in my past life, Ethan and Rachel left with large bags in hand. I personally escorted them to the station. As Ethan boarded, I solemnly reminded him, "Don't worry about the house. I'll take care of everything. Unless it's absolutely necessary, I won't disturb your work." After watching their train pull away, I turned on my heel and headed straight to the village office. I asked the village chief to issue a legal certificate confirming that Ethan and I were husband and wife. Then I slowly made my way home. Gloria had already been discharged and was lying in bed, groaning, asking me to fix her something to eat. Naturally, I didn't ignore her request. I cooked her a huge bowl of noodles with 2 fried eggs on top. I also added the special ingredient she had so proudly hidden under her pillow, the same sedative she claimed could knock out a tiger for a whole day. Gloria slurped down the noodles happily and quickly dozed off, deeply satisfied. Then I walked out and began screaming at the top of my lungs. "Someone help! My mother-in-law's collapsed." Hearing my panicked cries, neighbors came rushing over. When they saw Gloria unconscious like that, they were all stunned. I put on my best fake concern. "She was just fine a moment ago. I just made her a bowl of egg noodles," I told them, panicking. "She ate. I went to clean up, and when I came back, she was like this." Someone nudged Gloria more a few times, calling out to her. She didn't make a sound, no groan, no movement. Everyone around us was completely baffled. This might be something supernatural," someone whispered nervously. "Do you think so?" I asked, pretending to be frightened as I fumbled around the bed. Then, accidentally, I pulled out the small pouch Gloria had hidden under her pillow. "What's this?" I asked aloud. Everyone turned to look at the bag. Someone opened it, sniffed the strange aroma inside, and frowned. "What's in here?" Another person took it and gave it a whiff. No one could quite identify it. Then, one after another, the people who had smelled the pouch collapsed to the ground. Just like Gloria, unconscious, unresponsive. Now everyone was truly terrified. People ran off in all directions, calling for help, looking for a doctor. The entire scene felt cursed. Everyone believed that something evil was inside that bag. But I didn't believe in curses. And I wasn't about to let this moment go to waste. I grabbed a wooden cart, hoisted Gloria onto it, and dragged her out of the courtyard. By then, the crowd that had gathered to watch the spectacle had scattered. No one dared help me after seeing others faint just from smelling the bag. They were convinced something dark and dangerous was involved. Exactly the effect I wanted. As I dragged the cart down the village path, I wailed and cried, putting on a show. When I reached a steep slope and saw that no one was around, I stopped walking. Then I shoved the cart forward with all my strength. I watched as Gloria's limp body rolled off and tumbled straight into the ditch below. I jumped down after her. She was still unconscious, lying motionless in the dirt. I picked up a heavy stone, raised it above my head, and brought it crashing down on her leg. If Gloria liked pretending to be crippled so much, then I'd help her make it permanent. I smeared her blood onto my arms and clothes, then started crawling out of the ditch, howling at the top of my lungs for help. Soon, villagers from the next community over arrived. They helped me lift Gloria out and rushed her to the hospital. Both of her legs had been shattered in the fall. The doctor didn't hesitate. Amputation was necessary. There was no saving them. I waited outside the operating room all night. When they wheeled her out the next morning, now legless, I wept loudly and went straight to the post office to send a telegram. Mother gravely ill. Come home immediately. At the same time, I mailed a letter I'd written long ago, a report to Ethan's commanding officer. Gloria finally regained consciousness on the third morning. Her cracked lips whispered, "Water." No one responded. She struggled to sit up, but couldn't feel her lower half. Something was wrong. Panic rising, she flung off her blanket and looked down. Her eyes landed on two empty stumps where her legs used to be. A blood-curdling scream tore from her throat. I opened the door and stepped inside. "You're awake." "My legs, where are my legs? Lisa, tell me, what happened to my legs?" "Your legs," I tilted my head. "Weren't they already broken? Don't you remember?" No, my legs were fine, they were perfectly fine. How could they be gone just like that?" "Mom, are you confused again?" I said softly. "You broke your legs before Ethan left. Everyone knows that, it's no secret." No, that's not true." Gloria gasped, her face twisted with pain and rage. "I had both legs before. They were fine." "Oh," I said calmly, cutting her off. "You're wondering where your legs went?" I let out a long sigh. "Well, that's a bit of a story. You were in bed that day, couldn't move, and said you were starving. So I made you egg noodles with 2 fried eggs. After you ate, you passed out. I panicked and loaded you onto a cart to take you to the hospital. On the way, I slipped and the cart fell into a ditch. You tumbled down and hit some rocks. The doctor said there was no choice. Amputation was necessary to save your life. So, that's how your legs disappeared." You, she stammered. "What?" I asked, blinking innocently. "You want to ask why I'm completely fine?" Honestly, I've been wondering the same thing. Maybe I'd done too many good deeds in my life. Maybe heaven finally decided to bless me. I watched Gloria Moore's expression with great satisfaction, then slowly said, "Mom, how have you been so unlucky lately? First, you broke your leg in the courtyard. Then your backside got filled with glass shards. Could it be that you've done something wrong and offended the heavens?" I lowered my voice and added, "I overheard a few other patients' families whispering. They said, when something like this happens, it's usually divine punishment for bad behavior." Gloria was absolutely livid, her face turning red with rage. "Oh, come on," I said with a smile. "You being angry? Totally understandable. I don't believe in retribution either. I think it's all just coincidence. You know," I continued, drawing it out, "it really was a coincidence that your backside ended up full of glass. The truth is, I broke a few glass jars that day and swept the shards to that spot by the wall. I hadn't cleaned it up yet. I never imagined you'd be so unlucky as to fall right there and land square on the pile of glass." I paused, then said, "Unbelievable, right?" Gloria's hand trembled as she pointed at me, trying to speak, but she couldn't get a word out before her breath caught, and she passed out cold. Ethan rushed back 2 days later, dusty and exhausted from travel. When he saw his mother lying in the hospital bed with no legs, he froze. What happened? How could this happen? He kept muttering. The moment Gloria saw Ethan, it was like seeing her savior. Son, it was her. It was that vicious woman, Lisa. She did this to me. She made me lose my legs. Mom, what are you saying? Ethan's face twisted in confusion. Why would I ever do something like that to you? I raised my voice, pretending to be deeply hurt. Everyone in the village knows how I've treated you these past 6 years. They've all seen what kind of life I've lived and how much I've sacrificed for this family. You broke your leg on your own. You can't just turn around and accuse me of something I didn't do. Ethan looked at Gloria, uncertain, doubt clearly creeping into his expression. Gloria screamed hoarsely. She admitted it. She said she left the glass there on purpose to make me fall. Ethan's face darkened. Is that true? Yes, I said calmly, nodding. Gloria, stunned by my directness, jabbed a trembling finger at me. You evil woman. You used broken glass to trap me. You caused me to lose my legs. You tried to kill me. Ethan, call the police. Have her arrested. I want her to rot in prison. Mom, calm down, Ethan said. I'll handle the police, okay? But before they get here, I need to ask you something first. I pulled a small item from my pocket and placed it on the bed in front of Gloria. Mom, I found this under your pillow. Do you know what it is? Gloria's face turned pale. No, I don't know. Well, I asked the doctor about it, I said. He said it looks like some kind of sedative. If you inhale it, you'll pass out and stay unconscious for hours, sometimes even days. Why, Mom? Why would you hide something like that under your pillow? Gloria didn't answer. Ethan's face grew darker. I added, if it weren't for this stuff, you wouldn't have passed out. I wouldn't have panicked and rushed you to the hospital. We wouldn't have fallen into that ditch. You wouldn't have broken both your legs and needed amputation. So really, this thing, this pouch, it's the reason you're like this now. I sighed heavily. And it's not just you who got hurt. A few of our neighbors fainted after sniffing what was inside. They said it felt cursed, that you were trying to do something evil. They were even planning to report it to the police and ask for an investigation. I got scared. That's why I called Ethan home. I picked up the pouch again and held it out. Now that he's here, and the item's right here, should we call the police or not? Say the word, and I'll run to the station myself. Gloria didn't dare say yes. Ethan didn't either. Even though Gloria kept telling Ethan I was the one who caused everything, he didn't truly believe her. Maybe he didn't want to believe her. After all, in his eyes, I'd always loved him. I would have done anything for him. How could a woman like that possibly harm his mother? What good would it do me to hurt his mother? Ethan Moore's biggest concern now was how Gloria would survive without legs. He only stayed at the hospital to care for her a few days before he couldn't take it anymore. After all, taking care of someone bedridden, feeding, cleaning up their waste, it wears a person down fast. And with Ethan, her own son, still around, I, an outsider, was naturally off the hook. I claimed I wasn't feeling well and stayed in bed at home, saying I was too weak to get up. All the dirty work, literally, got pushed onto Ethan. He tried his best to be a filial son, but taking care of someone's bodily needs isn't something just anyone can stomach. Ethan did love Gloria. She was his mother after all. But now he was visibly disgusted by her. There's a saying, no child stays filial forever by a sickbed. He didn't want to keep doing this. What he needed was a live-in maid, someone submissive and tireless who would care for Gloria for the rest of her life. And the first person he thought of? Me. Ethan came to talk to me. Lisa, I'll be heading back to the base in a few days. Oh? I said, raising an eyebrow. So what about your mom? You're just going to leave her like this? He looked troubled. There's really nothing else I can do. I know it's asking a lot, but I was hoping you could stay behind and take care of her. He clearly expected me to smile warmly and say, don't worry, this is what I should do. I'll look after her so you can focus on your work. He had no doubt I'd agree, just like always. But I kept my head down, folding my clothes silently. After 6 years of marriage, I had almost nothing to my name, just 3 or 4 patched-up pieces of clothing. That was it. Right in front of Ethan, I folded up a few of them neatly, then grabbed the rest, the rags too ruined to wear, and tossed them into a pile. Why are you packing those? He asked. I'm not, I said. I have money now. I can buy new clothes. These? I don't want them anymore. And with that, I tossed my old clothes onto the floor in front of him. Ethan flinched, startled. He had been anxiously waiting for my answer, but now that I was throwing my clothes around, he panicked. He thought I was angry at him. He rushed to smooth things over. Once I'm back at the base, I'll send my entire salary to you. I'll only keep a little for myself, and later, when Mom's health improves, you can come with me. Lisa, I'll be grateful. I'll love you for the rest of my life. He said it so sincerely. I looked up at him. Really? You swear? I swear, he said. If I'm lying to you, may I die a horrible death. He reached out to hold my hand. I stepped back. Well then, I said with a smile, I'll wait and see you die a horrible death. Ethan froze, stunned. What did you say? Didn't you just swear? I said sweetly. If you're lying to me, you said it yourself. Ethan, do you really not know what kind of relationship you have with Rachel? We're innocent, he said quickly. I was just helping her. I pitied her. Is that so? Then tell me. Who's the father of the baby in Rachel's belly? Ethan went completely silent. I smiled, my voice light. Word is, Rachel is your legal wife now. If that's true, why don't you let her stay and take care of your mom? What are you bothering me for? Aren't I just a stranger to you now? No, it's not like that, Ethan tried to explain, but the words caught in his throat. Because just then, Rachel walked in. She looked exhausted, dragging little Dax by the hand. As soon as she stepped through the door, tears streamed down her face. Ethan, the base got a report about us. They're sending me and Dax back. We've been kicked out. Ethan stared at her in shock. What report? I don't know, she sobbed. Just some complaint. They said we can't stay anymore. They said you were going to be punished soon too. Upon hearing that, I burst out laughing, genuinely delighted. Ethan turned to me, alarmed by my reaction. I stood up. I sent the report. You? What? I knew about you and Rachel sneaking around, I said. So I wrote to your commanding officer. I even got a signed letter from the village chief confirming that you and I are legally married. You. Ethan trembled with rage. I smiled wider. His face had gone completely pale. Ethan, you like Rachel so much, don't you? I said. You like that she's having your child? Great. I'm happy for you. Let me help you two be together. After I said that, I turned to Rachel. Looks like you've got your hands full now with Gloria. Poor thing, you're pregnant and now you've got to take care of a bedridden, legless old woman. That's rough. Honestly, kinda gross. What do you mean? Who's bedridden? Rachel blurted out. Gloria is, I replied with a smile. She's actually paralyzed. No way, she was faking. Nope, not faking anymore. She really doesn't have legs now. Rachel looked absolutely stunned, like she'd swallowed a bug. I clapped my hands joyfully. Congratulations to you and Ethan for getting exactly what you wanted, legally married and all. Thanks for taking over his whole family too. Then I added, in a mock-sweet tone, by the way, Ethan's been dismissed. No job. So don't count on him sending home money for luxury meals anymore. Things are gonna be real tight for you. But that's not even the worst of it. Ethan is neck-deep in debt. I forced him to borrow more money, dug that hole just for him. He gave it all to you, didn't he? You spent it like water. Then there was all the money spent on Gloria's fake illness and amputation. Trust me, it's going to crush him. I paused for a beat, enjoying the sight of their faces turning pale. And once he's back in the countryside with no job, he's gonna find out how hard it really is to make money. Who knows when he'll ever be able to pay it back. But the best part? I added cheerfully, you two now have the honor of caring for Gloria, someone who can't even get out of bed to go to the bathroom. Rachel and Ethan both looked like they were about to be sick. I grinned and kept walking toward the door. When I reached it, I turned back and said, oh right, one last thing. Do you want to know why I never had a child with you in our 6 years of marriage? I asked Ethan. He looked at me instinctively. Why? Because you're the one who can't have children. I said with a laugh. You didn't really think Rachel's baby was yours, did you? He froze, stunned. I kept laughing. Of course it's not. That baby belongs to Mark, our village's second-rate scumbag. I saw Rachel sneaking into the mountain caves with him with my own eyes. I turned and walked away, still laughing. To be honest, I didn't know for sure whether Rachel's child was Mark's, but I definitely saw the two of them sneaking off together. That was enough for me. After everything that had happened, there was no reason for me to hold anything back. When it comes to enemies, I believe in going all in. Whatever brings the most satisfaction. With the money I'd wrung out of Ethan, I headed south to start over and carve out a life for myself. The road ahead wasn't easy. There were hardships and setbacks. But I was tough, and I was hardworking. When the winds of reform swept across the country, I was one of the first to seize the opportunity. I built a thriving clothing business. I opened more than 10 stalls. I bought a big house. I drove my own car. I even married a man who loved and respected me. Time flew. Before I knew it, my child was already 12. I hosted a birthday celebration for him at a high-end restaurant in the city. I never expected to run into someone from my past there. Rachel looked nothing like her old self, gray-haired and hunched over. She was working as a janitor, cleaning the restaurant carpet. I walked down the corridor in high heels, my hair curled into soft waves. Rachel looked up and our eyes met. She stared at me in disbelief. "You, Lisa? You're rich now?" She blinked rapidly, then narrowed her eyes with bitterness. "This can't be real." I looked at her coldly, her hair a tangled mess, her figure bent, her body shriveled by years of hard labor. "You must have married some rich guy," she spat. "Look at the way you dress. You're probably just some fancy escort. That's the only way a woman like you could have money." "Not everyone's like you," I said flatly. "I don't need a man to survive. I left Ethan, and I rose anyway. You left a man and turned into this." She snarled, "This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, I would have stayed with Ethan. We would have built a good life in the army. It's you heartless, shameless woman. You're the reason Gloria lost her legs, the reason Ethan lost his job, and the reason you left a thorn in his heart." Rachel screamed at me, her voice full of hate. "It's all because of you. Because of your lies." Ethan started doubting that the baby was his. He said the baby's eyes looked just like Mark's. He kept accusing me of sleeping with Mark. He got drunk and he fell and killed my baby. "Oh," I said casually. "That's unfortunate." Her mouth dropped open. "How can you be so cold? Do you have any idea how much I've suffered?" Rachel cried. "He hit me, screamed at me, insulted me every day. He made me care for that old witch Gloria, feeding her, cleaning up her filth. And if I ever complained, he'd beat me black and blue." She wiped away tears and muttered, "He said, if Lisa could do it, why can't you? When he was with you, he was already sneaking around with me behind your back. But after you left, he couldn't stop thinking about you. Every day, he talked about how good you were." "Then why didn't you leave him?" I asked coldly. "Can't survive without a man?" "You think I didn't want to?" she yelled. "I had a kid. I wasn't free like you." Her voice cracked into a furious roar. "This is all your fault. You made my life hell. That bastard Ethan killed my baby. He pushed me while he was drunk and the baby died. And then he crippled my other child." I blinked. "Oh, that's unfortunate." "You heartless bitch," Rachel hissed. "Ethan was executed," she said after a pause. "He got the death penalty, left me with all the mess." "Is that so?" I said with a sneer. "Sounds like you've had it rough." There wasn't a trace of sympathy in my voice. "I'm a mother," Rachel continued. "I couldn't abandon my child, but no man wants a woman with a disabled kid, so I ran around for years, working like a dog. Now you see me like this. Does that make you happy?" I looked her straight in the eyes and answered honestly, "Yes, it makes me very happy. I hope your life stays exactly like this, forever, lifetime after lifetime." And with that, I turned and walked off in my heels, leaving her screaming in rage behind me. It was just impotent fury, nothing to fear.